First, a prayer to Guru and all the Gurus all over the world. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parampara. I salute, or we salute, all those teachers who have manifested in the world and blessed humanity with their wisdom and exemplary lifestyle. An Acharya is one who teaches by his behavior and character and content. We salute such teachers. Peace be, peace be, peace be. Okay. So today we will be seeing walking around the Brahman. Let me put it that way. I'll be walking through generally the general knowledge and intellectual understanding of what Brahman is, what God is, or what is truth, a general understanding, so that you can have a experiential understanding later. Some people, as they listen to the lecture, they get an experiential understanding. Some people may take time. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So you don't have to hurry. Be patient, relaxed. Because I am talking about something which you already have. I am not trying to bring something new to you. It is something you have missed out in your busy schedule. Something which you already are, which you already have. Let the cat out in the very beginning. So we are giving you a general verbal description of Brahman, which will give you an intellectual cognitive shift, a paradigm shift in life with that understanding. Then it is just details, like a painter. He put the outlines first. Then he fills the details by deeper strokes. So similarly, let us have a verbal, intellectual, cognitive understanding. Then you have to fill in with your feelings, your practices, and so that it will go into your bones and marrows. So that whatever you speak, whatever you feel, your intentions, your behavior, how you process and interpret your experiences, all that will change. That will change. So this clarity, we need a certain clarity about life purpose. If you don't have that clarity about life's purpose, or what you call the end value, the ultimate goal, which we generally say moksha, we should have certain clarity about that. Otherwise, life will be a ship adrift in the shoreless saline sea, I should say. Water everywhere, not a drop to drink. That is our present condition. There is a beautiful world around us, but we are miserable. we are not able to enjoy this world, enjoy our life, enjoy our being, enjoy our personhood. It is the greatest tragedy. If you look at life, this is the greatest tragedy. It's like a person who is suffering from fever. There's a beautiful lunch laid out on the table. But he cannot or she cannot enjoy it. What a pity. So therefore, let us be very clear about our life's goal. I have already explained it, but I will repeat. It is not a sin. In spirituality, repetition is not a sin. So what is our life goal? Our life goal is to be a happy person. Happy, loving, caring, inclusive, fearless, learning. So a life of learning, like a child, curiosity. Whatever you see, you want to learn, to know, understand what it is. It is not that after 50 you stop learning. You can continue to learn. And if you continue to learn, you remain young ever, forever. You don't have to become old. You can rebirth yourself continuously. So that is our life's goal. To be a happy, learning, caring, sharing, empathetic, altruistic individual. I can use words after words after words. That ideal person. So if that is your goal, the key is happiness. If you are a happy person, then all these values will automatically come to you. If you are an unhappy person, however you may try, these values will become a burden for you. It will become a burden. Oh, I have to be fearless, I have to be loving, I have to be caring, and what a burden. But if you are a happy person, and that's what we are trying to understand, where is it, what is it, how is it, how can I reach there? So the happiness is the key. And the Upanishad and the Brahma-sutras, my talks are based on the Brahma-sutras, though I don't say it. So the Brahma-sutras elevates happiness to the ontological status, the status of God, Brahman. Happiness is not just a feeling that you get. It's not a quality of the mind or the body. If I tickle you, you feel happy, isn't it? For some time. But that is only for some time. Or if I say you are a wonderful, beautiful person, then you are temporarily happy. Then I talk behind you saying that she is a stupid person. Then when you hear it, because whatever I say behind someone, it will reach you. Then you are unhappy. So happiness has been elevated in the Upanishad to the status of God or truth or existence itself. The Big Bang happened from happiness. When you are happy, you bloom. When you are unhappy, you are doomed. Isn't it? Let us think about that. So happiness is the key here. Some or other, by God's grace or your parents' blessing or your teacher's blessing, you are able to discover this. Then you don't have to go around like a mad person looking for happiness. So happiness is God. Anandam Brahmedi Vijanad. May you understand, Brahman is Anandam. Brahman is not only consciousness and truth, which we'll see later. Brahman is Anandam, Sukham, bliss. And the whole world manifests from that bliss. So therefore everything is blissful. This has to go into our system. So I will be repeating it ad nauseam till you appreciate, till you accept it. That's the teacher's job. Rub it onto you continuously, so that it goes deep into your system. So this happiness is sadanandam, not occasional happiness, occasional pleasure and thrill. That is not what we are seeking. That is already there. What you seek is sadanandam. That should be your state of being. So let it be very clear. It's not just a thrill that you get by, moving about in the world or watching a movie or taking some liquor or cigarette and all that, or some sexual pleasure. That is not what we are talking about. We are talking about something very, very deep, which has gone into the core of your being. So let us call it sadanandam. In Sanskrit, we call it sadanandam, not kadachitkanandam. Kadachitkanandam means occasionally. Then again you are miserable. That roller coaster ride that we are experiencing now. Sometimes you are in high, sometimes you are in the low. And you can say on average, I think I am a miserable person or a happy person. We are not talking about average here. We are talking about absolutes. So if this is very clear, so not only this is clear to us, and we also have another demand. Our demand is, I have to be happy now, here, today. Adyeva, atreva, iheva. Don't tell me that tomorrow you will be happy, that tomorrow never comes. Or after death you will be happy, that never comes. So we are not interested in all that. We are done with that. We are done with that. So it should be now, here, today, in this body. Some of the people say once you drop the body, you will be happy. It seems that body is the problem. Body is not the problem. So in this body, in this world, but this body is embedded in this world. So don't wait to change the world to be happy. So many people have been trying to change the world to be happy. And if you are unhappy, how can you change the world? You will be adding more unhappiness into the world. So therefore, today, now, here, in this body, which is embedded in this world, as I am interacting with the world to make both ends meet, relating with my friends and foes. Sometimes you may have some enemies also. Even Jesus Christ had enemies. Lord Krishna had enemies. Socrates had enemies. Mahatma Gandhi had enemies. That is why you are sorted. So as I am interacting with the world, dealing with my friends and foes, enemies, I have to be happy. I must have access to these well springs of life. I must have some access. I must be in constant meditation that way while I am dealing with the world. Let me make it very clear. Our demands are very, very clear from this. There is no vagueness at all. So we have been looking around for this, how to achieve this. So we studied politics. Politicians are offering us happiness, isn't it? Economists are offering us happiness. When democracy comes, you will be happy. My God. We know how democracy functions. When GDP goes up, you will be happy. My God, we know what GDP does to us. Psychologists are trying to make you happy. They put you on the couch and make you talk everything. And then you say, when I was a child, I was abused by these people, those people, and then they put you on the couch and then you are blurting out everything, and at the end of the day you feel like a fool and you pay $500. Isn't it? So have you reached anywhere? So I am tired and fed up with all this. Now let me relax. Let me relax. But still there is a flame of hope in me. And this thick darkness which surrounds me, there is a flame of hope in me. That somewhere deep down in me says, this is not the reality. This is not the truth. I am living a life of ignorance. This is not the truth. Something deep in me says. If that is not there, I will not be able to give you this teaching. That I'm trying to appeal that deep sense of being in you. All the teachers are trying to. Something deep in you says, this is not the truth. This can't be the truth. Because I cannot agree with this. I rebel against it. I would say spirituality is a rebellion that way. Rebellion against this so-called truth. The so-called common sense. I refuse to accept this. There should be a way out of this mess. And I have to take responsibility. So the Bhagavad Gita says, Shraddhavan labhade jnanam. You need that Shraddha. As Tagore defined Shraddha, or hope, or faith, is a bird which sings in the darkness about the coming dawn, he says. There is a dawn, and he sings in the dark. So you need that Shraddha. Don't give up hope. We will be able to make it. We will prevail, as I say. We shall prevail. Satyameva jayadena amrutam. Satyena pantha vidada devayana. Truth alone can prevail. And the nature of truth is happiness, sukha. So if this is understood, this should be very, very clear to us. That's why the Upanishad says, we have seen that in the, I think it is in the Shvedashvara Upanishad, Amardasya putraha shunnandu. We are children of immortality. And if you are children of immortality, you also should be immortal. A donkey can produce only donkey, isn't it? Not something else. So if you are the children of immortality, you should be immortal. That faith is very, very important. That is what gives you the fuel, the mileage. That is what makes you going. Whether you are old or sick or educated or uneducated, man or woman, black or white, that hope is very, very important. So in this context, I would like to share with you. So then, therefore, the Brahma-sutra, because I told you my talk is based upon the Brahma-sutras. Brahma-sutra is a text. Indian Hindu text, spiritual text. It has got 555 sutras, divided into 4 chapters. Each chapter divided into 4 sections, all that. So, my talk is based on these 555 sutras. In 5 days, that means one day I will be dealing with 100 sutras, isn't it? As Shankaracharya, somebody asked Shankaracharya, can you tell us all this forest of knowledge in one sloka? Shankaracharya said, why one sloka? I can tell you in half a sloka. One sloka is too much. It's too long. Ardha shlokena pravachyami yaduktam grandagodivihi brahma satyam jagad nitya jivo brahmeva navaraha. In half a sloka, I can tell you everything. What is that? Whatever you are seeking, O fool, it is within you. You are that. The fool I added, Shankara didn't say. He said it in Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Muthamade. The Govinda is that inner happiness that you are. Lift it up by your own bootstraps. Lift yourself. It is there, waiting for you. From time immemorial, this has been waiting for you, and you have traveled a long distance, several lives, and still you have not found it. Therefore, lift it. It is there, with him. So, the Brahma Sutra begins, Adhado Brahma Jijnasa. Adha means thereafter. Thereafter means what? I shall explain to you. Thereafter, therefore, inquiry into Brahman. It's very interesting. Brahma Sutra does not say inquiry into yourself. That's very interesting. There is a reason for that. If you try to inquire into yourself sitting under a tree, you will reach the marshes of memory. That's all what you know. All your old memories will come. And it is an endless depth. Because you have lived several lives. All those garbage is there in your backyard, isn't it? Or your basement. Suppose you live in a house for 50 years, my God. No garage sale will remove all that clutter. It is there. Several lives you have been accumulating, experiences which you have not addressed properly. Put aside, I will deal with it later, And it is accumulating like undigested food in your stomach. So therefore, if you go in search of yourself, though I titled this whole lecture as Inquiry into the Self, but there is a catch there. Normally people say, okay, I'll sit under a tree or sit in meditation and inquire into the self. But what happens is, you are digging into this mess. The more you go, the more you become messy. And you say, ultimately, this is my mess, don't bother about it. Don't mess it up. This is my mess. Isn't it? So, mere self-inquiry will lead to a state of mess because you are not able to deal with that. Nor even a psychologist. That is why these days psychologists are trying to inquire into the previous lives. Even a secular psychologist are trying to inquire into the previous life. Whatever even the previous life. Then previous life, there is a life before that. Then there is a life before that. Finally, you get dead tired, isn't it? You need to help with it. So therefore, mere self-inquiry is not going to help you. Or you will end up in sleep. I am tired. Let me take a sleeping pill and sleep. Or you go to drugs. Because drug will cover it up. Put a beautiful silken cover. Then you feel good. That also is not a help. Or maybe a couple of drinks. Now I feel okay. Isn't it? So these shortcuts are not going to help you. So therefore, the Upanishad, between happiness which you are seeking and yourself, which is indicated by the I, he is introducing the Brahman. It's a word with a deep meaning. So it will clarify your intellectual clutter. When your intellectual clutter is clarified, then it may be easier to go into the real nature of the self. Otherwise, the Brahman is not necessary. I have to simply say you are happiness and period. That is not going to help. So this idea, of course, there are certain other disciplines also like learning to sit properly, pranayama, om chanting. And one of the Upanishads says Brahman is om. And some other Upanishad says Brahman is prana. Some other Upanishad says Brahman is jyoti, light. Some other Upanishad says Brahman is love. Love, Ananda. So, all these words are used. So, we have to analyze this word Brahman, its significance, so that it gives you intellectual clarity. Then you can fill it up with your emotions, your bhakti, your daily practices and all that. So therefore, athado, thereafter, I tell you what is this thereafter. Therefore, why therefore? Thereafter means having experimented with everything. Experiment with it. Parichalogan karmajidan. You experiment with your, you made a lot of effort, you travel all over the world, and you acquired and accumulated a lot of things. Devotees and fans and then money and then power and car and shoes and garments and gold and whatnot. By the time you become 60, 65, some people learn it much earlier. These days I find people saying, young people, I must make $1 billion by 40, then I'll retire and then go to Goa or Las Vegas and, game and all that. But the problem is that you go to Goa to enjoy a weekend. Or Las Vegas. And you walk on the seashore of Goa. Walk up and down seeking, where is this happiness? Where is this thing? And finally come back a weekend. Isn't it? You went to enjoy a weekend, but you come back weekend completely exhausted. Like a fool. By the time you reach, the bill also has come. Or the money has already been removed from your account. What a pity. So therefore, let us be very clear about this. That what we are seeking, parichalogan, you experiment. The Guru gives you a long rope. You experiment. You go there, you go here, you go everywhere. And finally, parichalogan, karmachidan. Karmachidan means the life of acquisition, life of aggrandizement, life of having. Leaving and having, that is called karmachidan. You leave this and you have something else. Then you leave that, then you have something else. This leaving and having life. Karmachidan. Parichalogan. Experimenting with that. So Indian Gurus are infinitely patient. Infinitely patient. Because they know if not this life, next life you will come back. Like that prodigal son in Bible. Sold everything, took his share, sold everything, went to the city, had enjoyment, and finally he had to work in a pigsty. That is the time he remembers his father. My God, my father told me of this. Then he doesn't want to come back because father may not receive me. But then he had no other go. Finally he comes back. Nilly he comes back. Then the father is ready to receive him with open hand. Similarly, this Brahman is waiting for you. Wherever you go, Brahman knows he will come back. So your bedroom is ready. Kept it clean. You can always come back. This house, there are several rooms for all of us. So that is the spirit. Here we have to understand. So parichalogan karmajidan, this life of living and having and living. Finally, karmajidan, brahmanaha. Brahmanaha means this individual. This individual. God has given you that capacity. Individual. Nirvedamaya. Now you are detached. Nothing can excite you now. Nothing can excite you. No new thing can excite you. Because every new thing is all the wine in a new bottle. Isn't it? There's nothing new in that. It is same old wine in a new bottle with a new label. That's it. It's all recycled stuff. Nothing is new in life. It is all recycled. So you know that. What is the knowledge? Nirvedamaya. You are detached now. You give a smile. That's it. With that detached attitude, You give a look, a smile, but you are stay put where you are. You are not excitable, not excited. Not looking for a change. Therefore, that word is very important. Nirvedamaya. You are detached. You are observant. You are not reacting to new things. You are not grabbing things now. You take only what is absolutely necessary. So, Nirvedamaya, Vairagya. Nirveda means Vairagya. Vairagya is not hating. You are not hating anything. You are only observing. You give a smile. Vairagya, Nirvedamaya. And then you got a wisdom now. What I am seeking cannot be produced. Nasti akruda krudena. What I am seeking is akrudam, which is already existing. It is not a construct. That wisdom is very, very important. I'll be coming to that little later. So this wisdom, what I am seeking is not something which can be produced or created or grown in my garden. It is something which is already existing. What the Upanishads call Vastu Matantratvad. It is something which is Vastu, not Purusha Tantra. It is not a thing which I can produce in the factory or the farmstead or in the kitchen. It is Vastu. It is already existing. It is an ontological reality. Sorry for using these technical terms because I cannot help it. So it is something which is already existing, and I will be developing it further in my talk. It is not something which can be produced in the factory, can be bought in the market. I mean, I am sure this modern people, they will sell Brahman also in the market. Enlightenment in the market. Everything can be sold. Everything can be marketed. Because if I say it 100 times, this is Brahman, then you will buy it. This is Brahman, you will buy it. So it cannot be produced. It cannot be grown in the farmstead. It cannot be cooked in the kitchen. It is not an idea. It is something which idea means which is not substantial. It is something really existing. So existence is a very, very deep subject, which we will be working on it later, maybe tomorrow, next talk. So it is something existing, Vastu Tantratva. Please write down that word, Vastu Tantratva. It is something which is existing, Vastu. So, if it is existing, I don't have to produce it. Isn't it? Then I don't have to produce it. Then I have to only look and see it and experience. So therefore, to be happy, the meaning is, to be happy, you don't have to make any effort. Is it not counterintuitive? It's not counterintuitive. To be happy, no effort is necessary. In fact, if you make an effort, you will be unhappy. If you make an effort to be happy, you are going to be unhappy. Isn't it? Because when you are already that, any effort to become that will take you away from that. Is it not true? If I am already in this room, and if I want to be in this room, I am trying to run around, then I will be moving away from the room. So therefore, this wisdom make you immediately quiet, immediately settled. That I don't have to make any effort. It is anayasam, effortless. When you are effortless, that's why these days people say relax, relax, relax. Sit down, relax, take a breath, have a cup of tea. So, but now the question is, how do I relax? That they give you a balm or an oil or this thing, that thing, take you on another trip. So, these so-called people trying to help you, they are only taking you to different trips. That way they are tricking you. You don't understand that. Because you think, oh, I am getting a new thrill. So relax. Relaxation means this. Actually, meditation means this. What I am seeking ultimately is already there. Therefore, I can relax. Nobody can take it away from me. If somebody can take it away from you, you have to be tense. You have to arm yourself. That is why you become a ahimsa, non-violent person. I don't want to arm myself. I don't have to defend. Since I don't have to defend, I have no offense. You become completely non-violent. Once this understanding settles in our mind. So, relax. It is already something which is already existing. So this you have to write down. This is a key point. Nasti agrudaha krudena. What I am seeking is not a construct, it's not a product. Therefore, no amount of effort will give me that. I have to open my eyes. I have to open the heart and feel it, experience it. Which is very, very important. Nasti akruda krudena. So, then what should I do? If it is already existing, I look around. I shop for that. It's already existing. Do I get it? No. I look into my mind. I don't see it there. It is not a concept. Then what should I do is the question. So when you are in utter despair, utter helplessness, you know this is there, but you don't know where is it. If I look outside or look inside when I look, it is that filth that I have gathered all through my life. I have to put it on a bonfire. So therefore, what should I do? What's your answer? Think about that. What will you do? Where will you go? There the Upanishad says, tad vijnanartham. So if we want to know it, it is a matter of knowing it. Not producing it, knowing it. Knowing is getting it. We have already seen that. Brahmavida apnodi param. Knower of Brahman become happy. So Brahman should be happy. And the knower of Brahman to be happy, the knower's nature should be happiness. Isn't it? We have seen that. Think about that. So therefore, tad vijnanartham, to know that, guru meva abhigachet. Go to the guru, he says. Go to another happy person. That's all what you have to do. Go to another happy person. Sit in that person's ambience. Because this is something personal. It is not just an intellectual concept, happiness. It is an experiential reality. So only a happy person is the truth. It is not an idea in a book. So to teach Brahman means to be happy, to be blissful, to be joyous. So therefore, it is not a book that you are seeking. Because that book is there in your library and it's gathering dust. You have to reach a person who is intrinsically happy, whose happiness itself. Anandam Brahmedi. So we have to reach such people. I understand such people are fast becoming extinct in this world, disappearing in this world. Is an endangered species, let me put it that way. But still there are here and there. So we have to reach Tad-vijnanartham Guru Meva Pikachu. So as a Guru, one can remove this ignorance, self-ignorance. So Guru Meva Pikachu. And how do you go? Samitpani, with humility, with an open mind. Put away all your concepts with an empty mind, I should say. Or a relaxed mind, open mind, ready to learn. Now, my Guru used to tell me a story. The story is that, because I used to read a lot of stuff. Philosophy, literature, history, economics, politics, and this and that and whatnot. So I have gathered a lot of rubbish before I came to my Guru. And I started arguing with him, debating with him, just to show off my knowledge. So one day, Guru said, I think you are a little exhausted. Can I make a cup of tea for you? I said, that's a good idea. Generally, Shishyas make cup of tea and give the Guru. Here, Guru says he himself will make a cup of tea. Good idea. So he made a cup of tea in a flask and then in a cup and saucer, and then he poured the tea into the cup, in a cup and saucer. He poured the tea and he kept on pouring the tea, overflowed into the saucer, then under his clothes, and everywhere. I said, stop it, because it's overflowing. So Guru says, similarly, your mind is overflowing with your own rubbish. Empty it. Have an open mind. Then alone. Thereafter I stopped asking questions. I just started listening. It was a very visual explanation. Very practical explanation. Your mind is full of old ideas. This will not penetrate into you. So that is why Samitpani. Samitpani means with humility, with an open mind, readiness to learn, not immediately reacting. Because the Guru is trying to give you a whole picture. Before the picture is complete, you are restless and you are impatient, and because you already bought the return ticket. After listening for some time, you want to return with all the mess. So therefore, you have to relax. And hence, an open mind. All the ideas are to be set aside. They are no more useful or valuable because situation is new. The challenge is something very deep. And hence, Samitpani. And what is the definition of a teacher? Shrotriyam Brahma-sutras. This also should be very clear. Definition of a student we have already explained in that preparation, isn't it? Viveka, Vairagya, Samadhi, Shakti, Sampatti and all that. Teacher also needs some qualification. Teacher cannot come from the range. What is his qualification? Shrotriyam Brahma-sutras. The teacher should be well established in the scriptures, in the wisdom tradition. He has to use words properly. He cannot just throw words like that. Use words properly, because your brain is full of words. So the teacher has to use words to rearrange the brain. The words are very, very important. So Shrotriyam, we must have the right words, right understanding of those words, because every word means something. So the only way to relate the teacher and student relationship is through words. And some teachers just give a touch, which I dare not do these days. It can be inappropriate touch, isn't it? Some teachers do that. They give you a touch. Like Vivekananda, Ramakrishna. Ramakrishna was illiterate. He didn't have the facility with the words. So Vivekananda went on asking questions, that ping-pong game, question and answers, Q&A. So what Ramakrishna did was, gave him a touch. He touched with his toe at his navel. That's what he did. Something happened, something transpired. But this technique you cannot use now. This technique you cannot use. A touch or a look. A look also is enough. If I give you a look, you experience that transformation, isn't it? When your grandchild gives you a look, don't you feel a thrill all around running on? Or your lover gives you a look, my God, there are stars in the sky, isn't it? So therefore, a look has got a great power. Please don't underestimate a look, a glance. Shankaracharya says in Vetadamni, please give me a glance through the corner of your eye. A corner of your eye. A glance is enough. A look, a touch. But these are all techniques. Sometimes it will work, sometimes it may not work. So the most effective method is the words. Words. That's the most effective. And through the words, you can avoid a lot of noise, lot of problems in communication. Use the right kind of words. A look may not communicate. A touch may not communicate. So the Shrotriyam, then Brahma-nishtam. So here is a person who has, so the person is very important in Indian tradition. Not the books, not the statues. It is a person who experiences this. One has to interact with that person, have to live in his environment of that person. And so many people are making claims, so it's very difficult to convince you about this because you have seen a lot of fake persons also. Who is the true person? Who is the real person? This person. True Jivan Mukta. Shankara says, if you are not a Jivan Mukta, you have no right to teach this message. Because you will be just dabbling in meaningless words. The words should come from your experience. So this is a challenge. And I think culture is maintained by such people, not in libraries or museums and all that. Culture is transmitted by such living, exemplary examples. And hence these two, Shrotriyam, Brahma-nishtam, such a person you have to approach. And if you meet such a person, you are a really lucky individual. Because he alone can communicate and make you. So, make you whatever you are seeking. Your life will be fulfilled as a result of that. So these 7 points, Pariksha Logan, experiment with everything, be detached, don't get excited by new things, and understand that what you are seeking is something which is already existing. And then for knowing that you have to know it, not to get it as an object, know it, and then approach the teacher, Guru. So, Samipani with humility, open mind, Shrotriyam Brahma-nishtam. Guru must have the words, appropriate words, meaningful words to communicate. So, Guru uses the word Brahman. He only uses the word Brahman. There is no verb or object or anything. Generally we in a sentence, we say, oh Ram, bring that cow. That's a sentence. Ram, you, cow, an object, bring it, a verb, By the stick, hold the stick and bring the cow. So you have to listen all the words to understand the meaning, isn't it? Suppose say, hey Ram, then of course there is a Ram, you look around. So what should I do? Cows. Yeah, cows are there, I understand. Bring it. Isn't it? So I have to use a verb and then the object, the subject, then alone it makes some sense. Here, only one word is used, a noun, Brahman. Like in Jewish religion, Yahweh, Yahweh. Who is Yahweh? Yahweh is I am, I am. That is the meaning of the word. I am, I am, I am. Or the Chinese tradition, they use a Tao. Tao. There is no verb or object there. There is only word. So we are meditating on that word. Brahman. So whatever other words I use, all indicate the same Brahman. So it is not a sentence actually. It is just a word. Actually the universe is a word, not a sentence. What is that word? We have already seen that. What is that word? The universe is Oh. That's the word. It's a vibration. Oh. So Om is Brahman actually. So the word Brahman is, which is happiness, which we are seeking. We have already seen that this is Sukham. Another word is Sukham. What do you mean by Sukham? Space. Sukha means come space, plenty of space. This is a very interesting meaning, isn't it? Sukha, we thought when we eat a laddu or jalebi, what do we get is Sukha. That's not the meaning here. Sukha means space. The spaciousness that we feel, which is meaning accommodation. The definition of space is that. Space is that which can accommodate things without itself getting displaced. You see, you are sitting on that chair and that chair can accommodate only you, not me. If I have to sit there, I have to displace you. But space is such a facility where everybody can be accommodated. It's a mind or a state of consciousness where you accommodate everything, where you reject nothing. We live a life of rejection, acceptance, isn't it? I reject certain things, I accept certain other things. But space, so whenever you are happy, you have greater accommodation. That is why we say, on the first day of the month, you got the salary, 1 lakh rupees in your account. At that time, a beggar comes, you will give him 10 rupees, isn't it? Or $10. Because your mind is full, plenty. At the end of the month, when all the money is exhausted, and then a beggar comes, my God, you will behave beggarly. You show your beggarliness, isn't it? No accommodation. So when you feel that inner fullness, you become like a space. Accommodation. Sukham. At this point, we are living in dukkham. Dukkha means what? No accommodation. No accommodation. You're kicking both sides. You're kicking away everything. So therefore, that dukkha means no accommodation. Sukha means like you. That is one meaning of Brahman. Reflect on that. Reflect on that word. The Brahman is a word which has no object, no verb. It's a word which you have to chew like a chewing gum. So, Sukham, Another word is anandam. Ananda means a dance. You are bubbling up. You just dance away. When you're happy, you break into a dance, isn't it? Sometimes I see in the airport, suddenly these people break into a dance and I feel so happy. Otherwise it is everybody is rushing up and down. Suddenly you break into a dance. That's called Ananda, Nanda Vinanda. Ananda. Or Anantam. Ananda means you are transported into a state of timelessness. You're transported into a state. Have you ever experienced that? Transported into a state of timelessness. Because time is hell, as somebody said. Whenever you are in a state of timelessness, you don't feel time flying. You don't feel that. When you eat a good meal, at that time, no time, isn't it? Playing with your grandkids. There's no time experience. Or when you are sitting with your beloved, there is no time. When you sit with your beloved, you don't look into what is the time now. It's called God. So it is called Anandam. Ananda means a state of timelessness. You live in eternity, in immortality. You understand your immortality. So these are the words used. Anandam, Anandam. Reflect on those words. Anandam, timeless. Anandam, dance. You break into, otherwise you sit like a ramrod stone, isn't it? You don't melt. Now you break it. You bloom. Anandam, Anandam, Sukham. Another word is Ananyam. This happiness is not away from you. Ananyam. It is not away. It is so close to you. It's close to your heart. Ananya word is very, very important in understanding. These all mean the same thing. These are not qualifying each other. They all mean the same thing. So we are reflecting on the significance and the depth of these words. So Ananya means, for example, let me put it this way, is your nature is not happiness, let us say. That's the meaning of Ananya. You are not away from happiness, your nature is happiness. If your nature is not happiness, what it should be? The opposite, unhappiness. Isn't it? If my nature is not happiness, if the fire is not hot, it should be cold. So if your nature is not happiness, it should be the other it's opposite, unhappiness. If you are unhappy, you should be happy with your unhappiness. Isn't it? The fire doesn't feel hot. Fire is hot. So if your nature is not happiness, it should be unhappiness. If your nature is unhappiness, you should be happy with your unhappiness. Which is not the truth. Unhappiness seems to be like a foreign body entered into your system. You want to reject it with all your force. Unhappiness like a piece of stone that gone into your shoe. Think about it. It is this kind of thinking which will make you meditative. This is what you meditate. Otherwise, you sit on the mat and then scratch your head. That's not what you're doing. This is what meditation is all about. Think about it. Understand this. So therefore, if my nature is unhappiness, I should be happy with that. I should be comfortable with that. A snake doesn't feel the poison. Snake can poison others, not itself. Fire doesn't feel any heat. It is heat itself. Similarly, if your nature is unhappiness, you will settle in that. You don't. You reject it like a foreign body. From that, the implied understanding is, my nature is happiness. So happiness is elevated to your spiritual nature. Happiness is not just a feeling, a state of mind, or a brain state or anything, or a hormone pumped into your system. No, it is something much more deeper. It is very foundation of existence. So the word ananya, non-separate, is not separate from you. That is to be made very, very, very clear. Therefore, happiness has to be my nature. Our problem is we are ignoring that. And we are looking outside. So this is called avidya. Avidya means to ignore this fact. And then you are looking for that. You are searching for that. I have a beautiful story, but I don't have the time to tell you that story, which I'll tell you next time. To highlight this, it is very interesting, because somehow things are taught through stories. Then that will strike you. Mere logic may not strike. I have to give you stories to do this. So for the time being, let us understand, this is not away from me. If it is not away from you, if you seek happiness, you are chasing your shadow. You know, that dog trying to touch its tail. It will go round and round and round and round, isn't it? It can never catch its tail. So we are trying to catch our own tail, which you will never reach. Therefore stay. The tail is yours. It's there with you. You don't have to catch it. You are that. So this should be very, very clear. It is ananyam. So please understand, happiness is ananyam. Another interesting thing is, happiness is ashariri. Ashariram sharireshu, he says. Ashariri means it is not tangible. You cannot taste it or touch it, or it is not tangible. It is very, very subtle. It is very, very subtle. If you look into if you want to touch it or feel it or see it, it's not possible. You have to invoke it. Happiness is ashariram sharireshu. Shariram in the body, mind, the ego complex, or the world outside. It is something deeper than all this. That is why it's called ashariram. So if happiness is a property of the body when it becomes old, you feel unhappy. Sick, you are unhappy. You have toothache, you are unhappy. Then you want to knock off the tooth. There's a gangrene, you want to chop it off. It is not a property of the body. Nor is it a property of the mind. Because sometimes you feel very depressed, very agitated, very unhappy. Then you want to go to sleep. Isn't it? You want to get out of the mind. I need a holiday from the mind, somebody says. I'm tired of this mind. So it is not a property of the body, not a property of the mind, not a property of the intellect. Intellect can make you miserable. Most of the intellectuals are miserable people. Most of the philosophers are miserable. The great philosopher like Schopenhauer, miserable person. Freud, miserable at the end of the day. So therefore, it is not an intellectual property, it is not an emotional state, it's not a brain state, it's not a hormone, something deeper. That is why it's called ashariram sharireshu. It is ashariri. It is not an object, it is not a thing, something deeper. We have seen it's not a product. Ashariram sharireshu. Nor is it in your possessions. Your car, your house, your wife, your children, your grandchildren. Happiness is not there. After some time, grandchildren, Grandma, I am leaving. Then you are left like a hot potato, isn't it? I am leaving. Then you are waiting for the grandchildren's sons to come. The more you wait, time. You create time. Waiting is creating time. Miserable again. Then when he comes, you complain. Where were you all this while? You came now. I don't want to see you. You shut inside your bedroom. Isn't it? You create more problem. What a mess. So it is not in your possessions. Then where is it? Deeper. That's why I call Ashariram. Ashariram, it has no physical body or a mental body. It is not in Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. It is Deva. Ashariram, Shariresh. Then the third, last thing I repeat, Akrudam. It is not a product. So three things you have to remember. Ananyam, Akrudam, Ashariram. It is non-separate. It is very subtle, beyond the body, mind, ego complex. And it is also Akrudam, not a product. It is an existing entity. Your real nature, it is not a product. That is the kind of Brahman we are seeking. This Brahman is Brahat. Brahman is Vardhana. There are three meanings for Brahman. Brahatvad Brahma, Vardhanad Brahma, Vruddhatamatvad Brahma. And to know this Brahman, which is happiness, which is not other than me, I am coming to the teacher. What does the teacher do? What kind of magic the teacher does? So, Tadvijnanartham Guru Mevapi. A living teacher, not a dead teacher. That teacher, you cannot use words. Not a dead teacher, but a living. And the words should be from the scriptures or the Upanishad or the Brahma-sutra. The first sutra is Athado Brahma Jijnasa. Adha means thereafter. Thereafter means what? After experimenting with all those things, having developed a dispassion, having understood what I am seeking is not outside, and I don't know where it is, therefore, since you don't know where it is, therefore, Guru Meva Bhigacha. And then the Brahma Jijnasa begins. Jijnasa means Jnadum Icha. So let me make it little clear here. So you are not meditating upon Brahman. Because you don't know what Brahman is to meditate in the first place. Can you meditate upon Brahman? I can't, because I don't know what it is. So my teacher used to say, can you meditate on Gagabugaya? What is Gagabugaya? And I don't understand what it is. So unless you know generally, that's what I give you the general description of Brahman. Unless you know generally, no inquiry is possible. So this is an old philosophical problem. Unless you know, how can you inquire into that? Unless you inquire, how do you know it? Isn't it? It's an old philosophical problem, beginning from Socrates. Therefore, Socrates said, all your knowledge is already there. You are only taking it and removing the dust and showing it. According to Greek philosophy, knowledge is remembering old understanding. Remembrance is knowledge. That's why if I ask you questions one after another, you yourself will understand what it is. You yourself will understand. So, what is important here is that the words are to be used carefully. So, with this understanding, you come to a teacher. The teacher says, relax, now let us have a samvadam. Samvada, not argument. It's not argument. Because I can defeat you in argument if you have a big lungs and lung power and word power. I can defeat you in argument. That is not going to help. What is required is samvada. Samvada means you ask relevant questions and try to discover, say, joy and journey with the help of words, Brahman, which we will see next Saturday, the methodology of inquiry. What is the methodology we have to adopt in this Brahman inquiry? That may be. Next topic. Thank you very much. Reflect on this and make it reflect on this one. On these words. The Brahman, you know, like a chewing gum, put it in your mouth. Brahman. Hari Om.